Penn State's James Franklin and the Nittany Lions are under immense pressure to win in 2025 and win big. But what have they underperformed this year of all years? I have the answer. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're checking us out. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We're making a push to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. We're almost there. Share, like, and follow Locked on Big Ten as well, so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So there's pressure to win at Penn State. We'll hit the recruiting trail, wins and losses there, and Tuesday tweets. They're fantastic at the end. Hang on for that. But if not now, when? That's the theme for Penn State. Every coach is under pressure to win this high-stakes world of college football. And we could probably make the case for numerous Big Ten coaches that they're all under a lot of pressure to win this year. None have more pressure than Penn State's James Franklin. Maybe we can make a case for USC's Lincoln Riley. Maybe if you want to have that conversation, be glad to do it. But what happens to James Franklin if he comes up short this year? James Franklin, 2025. This is his year. Everything is in place. He can and should win the Big Ten. He can and should get in the playoffs. He can and maybe even should win a national championship. Again, if not now, this year, then when? He's got a load of talent coming back on both sides of the ball. He's got the most experienced quarterback in the country in Drew Allar. He's coming back this year. And he has arguably the best dynamic dual running back combo in Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen. They're big and tough up front. They do lose Ty Warren, their tight end, to the NFL. That is a big loss. Their Achilles heel has always been wide receiver, speedy, game-breaking wide receiver to take the top off the defense. Maybe they've upgraded that room this year, it looks like. Kaytron Hudson and Devontae Ross have transferred in. It looks promising. And if you know anything about Penn State football, and I know that you do, you probably know that they could fall out of bed and produce an elite defense on the other side of the ball. They always have future NFLers. They got them again this year on all three levels of that defense. However, the Nittany Lions' most impressive addition on the defensive side of the ball might be on their staff with the hiring of defensive coordinator Jim Knowles right out of Ohio State, fresh off of their national championship. He's regarded as the best in the business. Ryan Day said he was the best in the business, but things didn't work out, and he left even before they had their championship parade, came to Penn State. Penn State gave him $3 million to be a coordinator. He's the highest paid coordinator in the country. That move alone, by the way, should tell you how much pressure there is on James Franklin to deliver a title this year. You don't have that kind of investment and support from your president and athletic director unless you intend to win it all. Yeah, here's $3 million. Go get the best coordinator in the game. So, but this is where skeptical Penn State fan always jumps in with comments. Says, but what? But they win 9 or 10 games a year, every single year. Oh, yeah, but they don't win the big ones. Michigan and Ohio State always seem to get in the way. Many years, both of them. It does happen. It does happen a lot. There's no question. It's always 10-2, but that 2 is always Ohio State and Michigan, or maybe it's in Oregon now moving forward. Look, I can rattle off 100 schools that would drop everything and take James Franklin like that right now with that kind of record, that kind of track record. And no school would have benefited more from an expanded 12 or 16 team playoff in the past decade under James Franklin than Penn State. You go back and look, Penn State would have made the playoffs numerous times if we let 12 teams in the past, but we only let 4 in. You go losing to Penn State, Michigan, or Ohio State, Michigan. One of those guys are getting in. There's no room in the inn. That's not the case anymore. So, and let's face it, Penn State, they benefited from the expanded playoffs this year. They lost the Big Ten championship game, which in years past would have decided who went to the 14 playoff. They lost the championship game to Oregon and still made the playoffs. So case in point, they benefited from it. They're always good. They're always really good, but they're not elite good, right? So last year, they got into the playoffs. They won a game. They came within a field goal of beating Notre Dame and giving us an all Big Ten championship game. Ohio State, Penn State, that would have been cool. So there was huge progress last year. You can't take that away from James Franklin. Definitely trending in the right direction, trying to break through that glass ceiling. But that's what he needs to do. He needs to break through that glass ceiling. That's all that's left for James Franklin at Penn State. Got to break the glass ceiling, get to a natty, and preferably win it. That's a lot of pressure. That's hard to do. So what if he doesn't do it? What if it's another 10-2 year, but no playoffs? Well, 10-2, you're getting into the playoffs. No championship, let's say. What if they come up short? What if they lose to Oregon and Ohio State in the regular season and go 10-2 again? But they're still going to the playoffs. 10-2 from the Big Ten is going to the playoffs. What if they get to the playoffs and they lose again to either Oregon or Ohio State or somebody else? That's a big name school in the playoffs. You know, a big one, a big game. What would happen to James Franklin then after all those expectations if he comes up short? I have the answer to that question. What will happen to James Franklin? Nothing. Nothing. I'll go back to my previous statement. There were 100 schools that I could rattle off the top of my head that would trade places with Penn State and take in James Franklin. You simply don't get rid of a guy like that. I mean, we were having these same kind of conversations about Ryan Day last year. Oh, he lost to Michigan a fourth straight time. Hot seat. No, national championship. There are only 3 active coaches in all of college football that can say they won a national championship. Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, and because of last year, Ryan Day. Yeah, there used to be just 2. Well, I guess Alabama won a few, but Nick Saban stepped aside. So we're down to a select few. You can count on one hand, 3 fingers. That's how many guys have won a national championship. That's how hard it is. That's how hard it is. So it is hard, but those are hard expectations for James Franklin on his doorstep right now. During the Big Ten Media Days coming up next month in Las Vegas, he's going to be peppered with questions about this very topic, about his legacy, about the lofty expectations for 2025. He won't run from those expectations. In fact, James Franklin will sit there and he will give thoughtful, measured answers to those questions. And he'll be ready for that. There's no question. Will he be ready for the season ahead of him? Will he be ready to get this team to the next level? That's what we'll wait to see. That's why we play these games. That's why we look forward to this season. So this team has a pretty soft launch into the season. They open up against Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova. Then they've got a bye week. So they got 2 weeks to get ready for the showdown of showdowns against Oregon in a rematch, the Big Ten championship game. And that'll be at Happy Valley. That'll be a hugely pivotal game for both of those teams for the rest of their seasons. I can't wait for it, and I know you can't either. But I do want to hear your comments on the expectations for James Franklin, and then what if? What next? Love to hear from you. Hit me up in the comments. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. You'll never miss a single episode. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten as well. We'd appreciate that. Don't forget, you can get some Penn State gear, shirts, T-shirts, hats for the Nittany Lions for the upcoming season right at our website, talkbig10.com, where we also have our podcast as well. In fact, you can see if you're watching on video, talkbig10, number 10.com. Feel free to check that out as well. All right, we have some great recruiting battles coming up. I want to tell you about some wins and losses, if you will, with Indiana and Minnesota and Michigan. By the way, USA Today listed their top 5 sleeper teams that could win it all this year. There was a Big Ten team on that list. I'll tell you who it was. Plus, we'll have our Tuesday tweets. Those are always fun. We always do that. That's coming up in just a minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Game Time is where it is at. If you want to go to games, you need a ticket, you need Game Time. Get the Game Time app right now. NBA Finals, Stanley Cup. We got baseball all summer long. Soccer, tell you about that in a minute. But there's nothing like the excitement of actually being there at a game. So all you got to do is you got to get the tickets. But they have killer last-minute deals, panoramic views. You can look right there on your phone and see the view from the seat of the ticket you're about to buy. And you go, okay, good view. I want it. No surprise fees. Game Time is a total game changer. So they got the zone deals, offering 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA Club World Cup matchups. Told you about the soccer a minute ago. Also, the Game Time guarantee that you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price at the same row or section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below so we make our push to 20,000 subscribers before football season. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, for our podcast and merchandise. All right, I want to start you off with Indiana football. Curt Cignetti had an amazing year last year, right? Got the 11 wins, and he got a commit from a very interesting athlete, a 2026 commit. This kid hasn't played in 2 years. So what's the story here? A ton of upside. Parker Elmore from Columbus North. For those of you not familiar, Columbus is not too far from Bloomington, actually. He's a tight end there. He also plays linebacker. And before he transferred into Columbus North, he played quarterback. So Michigan State, Wisconsin, we're all interested in him. So it looks like a good Big Ten prospect here. 6'5", 225 pounds, great size. But he suffered a torn ACL in his sophomore season and then sat out a season because he transferred to Columbus North from Jennings County. And in Indiana high school football rules, you got to sit out when you transfer. So Curt Cignetti also got 4 more commits this weekend, including in-state Center Grove, offensive lineman CJ Spires. Cignetti has 15 commits for 2026. They are just outside the top 30, ranked 31st with the recruiting class. Spires is a 6'6", 325-pounder. He's a 3-star. The Hoosiers have committed to the offensive line here. They're really going after it with a lot of commits up front in this cycle. And on the defensive side of the ball, they got a flip from defensive lineman Cavante Hugan from Louisville, who had committed to Louisville back in March, but he flipped after visiting Bloomington this past month. He also had offers from Baylor and Illinois and Maryland and Miami and Missouri and Penn State and USC. Again, looks like another good Big Ten prospect there. He had 118 tackles last year, 18 sacks for Booker High School. That's a nice addition to the Hoosiers defense there. And the Hoosiers seem to be doing pretty well in the state of Ohio, too. They got linebacker Jaden Williams from Ohio, tight end PJ McFarland from Ohio. They also got a wide receiver, Cortez Rupert. He's from Illinois, by the way, not Ohio. Big play guy. Last year in high school, he only had 24 catches. I say only. Of those 24 catches, 8 of them were touchdowns, 660 yards. And this wide receiver had, for 24 catches, he had 20 scholarship offers. There are a lot of schools that want this kid, but he's going to the Hoosiers. So that's a good get. I believe he's the only wide receiver from the class of 2026 for Indiana this year. Let's talk about the Minnesota Golden Gophers and PJ Fleck. He got himself a commit from a 3-star in Lucas Telch following recruiting visit this past weekend. He had schools like Northwestern, Pitt, Cincinnati, and Louisville all trying to get him. 6'6". He is the 17th Gopher commit from 2026. Coach Fleck's recruiting is doing pretty well. We were talking about them, I believe it was in yesterday's podcast. They're really starting to get some momentum here. They're trying to, like Indiana, crack the top 30 in recruiting. I think they're ranked 33rd in the country. So that's nice. Fleck also landed a West Bloomfield, Michigan defensive lineman, went right into Michigan territory, and had a recruiting visit this weekend with Jeremiah Benson, 6'3", 265-pound linebacker, second highest rated. I said linebacker. I believe he's a defensive lineman, not a linebacker, and it's from the state of Michigan. And also had interest from Fresno State and Iowa State as well. So that's a good get by PJ Fleck. Speaking of Michigan, though, they are the current front runner for a 6'3", four-star wide receiver in Travis Johnson. The Wolverines are battling with Penn State and Virginia Tech, and he just made an official visit to Ann Arbor, and things seem to go pretty well. In fact, that was his fourth visit to Ann Arbor. He's visited Indiana, Penn State, and South Carolina. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia, though, and a lot of people think that maybe Virginia Tech's got the inside track on him. We'll see. Otherwise, it might be Michigan. He's visiting Virginia Tech next, so they'll get the last crack at trying to close that. Wide receiver's been a focal point for Michigan on the recruiting trail. They got three-star wide receiver Jalen Pyle has already committed, by the way. So I know they want this Travis Johnson. They've got Pyle, Zion Robinson, CJ Sadler, and Jerquaden Guilford are all in the mix right now. They are trying to get themselves some receivers for the future, and Bryce Underwood, get him some nice, big, fast, strong targets to throw to. And we can't talk about Michigan without talking Michigan defense. Many feel that the Wolverines are in the driver's seat to land corner Andre Clark from Richmond, Virginia. He's a four-star. That'd be a nice get. They're battling with Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, and Virginia Tech for his services. They're all in the running. The Michigan Wolverines, we talked about a week or two ago about how they're kind of a slow start here for class of 2026, but Sharon Moore typically starts out slow. He did last year and then finished with a bang. Got 9 commits now for 2026. And one other defensive back already, four-star Brody Jennings as well. So Andre Clark, Brody Jennings, I don't know, that make a nice pair. So as long as we're talking about Michigan, I will tell you this. We have our first class of 2028 recruit to talk about. It's unbelievable. Michigan has offered quarterback Brady Quinn. Yes, he has the same name as that Brady Quinn who was at Notre Dame and then the Cleveland Browns, but they're not related. Just got the same name. So, and he's just a freshman, or he's going to be a sophomore, has 1 year of high school experience, and they've already offered him. In his freshman year, he threw for 2,500 yards and 33 touchdowns and 9 interceptions for First Baptist Academy in Naples, Florida. And he already has offers from Kentucky and Maryland and Louisville and Nebraska and Missouri and Ole Miss as well. So a lot of people got an eye on him. And I noticed that USA Today posted 5 sleeper teams that could win the national championship this college football season. All right, who is it? We just said made the case for why Penn State should. But what about a sleeper team? Maybe the team that nobody's really picking to win it all. Well, their top 5 had one Big Ten team on it. It was Michigan. Look, we've talked about this as well. We think they're borderline, yes, possible to make the playoffs, and they should be good. And then it's the same stuff in USA Today that you hear right here every day. We keep you on top of all this. That Michigan's going to be better than expected. A lot of the pundits out there are still impressed with the win over Ohio State and Alabama and how that's going to leapfrog the program back into the limelight. They got a schedule that will ramp up a little bit with Bryce Underwood. So, yeah, Michigan can be good. We've said that here. You're a Big Ten fan. You watch Locked On Big Ten all the time. The article on USA Today is nothing new, but sometimes I like to keep an eye on what other people are saying so you can be informed and see where they are compared to where we are with our opinions. By the way, the other 4 teams that were sleepers, LSU, Clemson. I don't know that Clemson's a sleeper. Clemson's a legitimate candidate to win a national championship. Ole Miss and Oklahoma. By the way, Michigan plays Oklahoma in week 2. We can weed one of these teams out right away in week 2. That's Sharon Moore's alma mater. And as of right now, he'll be coaching in that game. Their self-imposed 2-game suspension to appease the NCAA is set to take place in weeks 3 and 4, not 1 and 2. Michigan's still waiting on that word from the NCAA. They, of course, had a hearing with the infractions committee about Spygate and a few other recruiting violations last weekend, and the NCAA should come up with a final decision of whether they want Sharon Moore to be suspended for more games than just 2 in the next 2 to 3 months. Who knows? It's the NCAA. I'm glad they're not in charge of stuff like this anymore. If you are new to our podcast, we always we're unique in that we like to close out with standalone features each and every week, each and every day. Mondays, we do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. Hit us up on Twitter. I'll put it on the program. Wednesdays, we like to power rank stuff. Thursdays, we take a look at the Big Ten Network with Big Ten Classics and live action. And then on Fridays, we make picks, Big Skin picks, basketball picks, odds, all that kind of stuff. So Tuesday tweets, we'll see if yours made the list. That's next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Today's episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. So working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. All right, it is time for our Tuesday tweets. Let's check it out. You can hit us up on Twitter at TalkBig10. And we'll put them on here on full screen if you're audio only. We'll describe them as best as we can. This is from at TS Toix. It's last week we had the Lego Big House, Michigan Legos. This is not Legos. This is another kit of the horseshoe at Ohio State. It's good looking. It's a good looking model. This guy just built this for his son. He said parts were a pain in the A, but overall pretty easy. Looks good. Looks sturdy. Now, put some lights on there and let's get a few night games at Ohio State, right? Yeah. This is from at Carla Jenkins. Carla has been, she's an everydayer who has been with us since day one. We always appreciate her. And she retweeted our, by the way, you can follow her at Carla Jenkins. She retweeted our podcast about the silence of Commissioner Tony Petitti and how I thought it was hurting the Big Ten while everybody was making all these decisions about the playoffs. And he wasn't saying anything and things looked like they were going in the opposite direction of what I thought the Big Ten wanted as far as a playoff format and automatic qualifiers and all that. And she said, hey, Tony Petitti can remain silent. After all, he's got 2 national titles, a 5-1 record against the SEC, and 4 teams in the first 12-team playoff. Let Sankey talk. All of his words used against him. You know what? That's a fair point. Carla, I do like that record since Petitti's been on board. He's been there 2 years, going on 3. Won 2 natties and a 5-1 record against the SEC. You know what? It's a good point. Strong. Like it. Here's the shout out to UCLA baseball. As they put out a tweet as they won their first game over the weekend in the College World Series 4-6, and they're playing right now as we speak. I believe there was a delay as we were recording this. I think they were in the 5th inning. LSU was up 5-3. It's a double elimination, so this isn't the end, win or lose. It'll be another game. But they did win over the weekend, their first game of the College World Series, 4-6. So congratulations to them. This is from at Coach Matt Rule. I don't know what the story is behind this. This is a spread. First of all, you got the big ice sculpture on a black tablecloth table with the big N for Nebraska. It looks like crab legs and oysters and shrimp. Looks like they're about ready to have a little gala there. That is pretty nice. A nice event. I don't know what it was from, though. If you guys know, hit me up in the comments. I'd like to know what that was all about. Here's another one from Matt Rule and a few of his Nebraska players all over a John Deere tractor, which looks like it's on the football field, from at Ruler of Nebraska. He says this goes incredibly hard. This is pretty. I thought that was a cool photo. I don't know what Matt Rule's doing. Looks like he's jumping out of the truck. This is from account Kyle, and it is a picture of 18, I think it's 18, monitors, computer monitors at a desk. He says, my setup to monitor Jonathan Smith on the recruiting trail. Yeah, Michigan State doing a really good job. We might do a podcast on their recruiting tomorrow. They're doing a really good job, and I thought this was funny. Here is from at 11 Warriors, an Ohio State site. It is a picture of five-star 2027 linebacker Cooper Witten. He is the son of former Dallas Cowboys star Jason Witten. He says Ohio State is in the top 5 of his recruitment. All right, we'll keep an eye on him for the class of 2027. Here is the horseshoe all lit up in red lights at night from at OSU Vids. 11 more Saturdays. Hashtag go Bucks. The weird thing about this picture, as cool as it is, it's nighttime. Buckeyes had 7 12 o'clock games, noon games last year. Need more home night games, people. Here's from at Boom and Buckeyes. It is Tavian St. Clair, the presumptive starting quarterback for the Buckeyes this year, along with legendary 2-time Heisman Trophy winner Archie Griffin side by side. That's a cool photo. Remember that one forever. We don't get to talk about Purdue much, so here is Braden Smith from at Boiler Burner, and just lost control of that. And he's this is after taking a break, or after breaking the all-time assist record. He says we are exactly 100 days from the start of men's basketball starting up practice. All right, and he's coming back. Got an NIL deal and everything. Again, we don't get to talk Purdue too much. They haven't done too well in football, but here was a happy Father's Day with the number 1 Purdue jersey. It said Dad on the back and some cleats. Share that out there with everybody. Father's Day. Here we go. A big silhouette of a guy holding hands of his kids. Michigan logo for the dad. 1 kid, Ohio State, 1 Alabama. You know the drill. Who's your daddy? Michigan owns those 2 schools, right? That's what that's all about. And more. Last week was Flag Day, so Swanky Wolverine putting out pictures of Ohio State with a Michigan flag all over it on the hockey rink, the basketball floor, the football stadium. Quite the melee at the end of that game last year. All right, that's it for Tuesday Tweets. Hit me up each and every week. I'll put them on every Tuesday. We love doing that. Love to hear from you guys. There are many ways for you to interact with this podcast, and Twitter, X, at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10. You see the crawl on the bottom if you're watching on video. Where our podcast and merchandise. You can get your favorite school merchandise there. Whatever you do, before you go right now, hit that subscribe button. As we make our push to 20,000 subscribers. Be one of them. That would be great. Get us ready for the football season. And feel free to go back and check out a previous podcast. Check out yesterday's in case you missed it. Get caught up. Also, I invite you to check out our friend Brian Smith on The Portal Show, part of the Lockdown family. You can find The Portal on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll do it for us. I think we are, as of right now, unless something changes, I think we're going to talk about Michigan State a little bit tomorrow. If you're a Spartan fan, tell your friends. Really doing a great job with recruiting. Jonathan Smith's got some momentum going right now. So we'll talk about that. And it's the middle of the week, Wednesday, so we'll power rank some stuff. So all that's coming up too. And in the meantime, we'll catch you tomorrow. Tell your friends about us that we're here each and every day for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.